Today's topic is transposing between the keys of B flat minor and the key of G minor, or any two minor keys where the second minor key is a major sixth interval above the first minor key. In our example, the key of G minor is a major sixth interval above in pitch as compared to the key of B flat minor. The overall approach I'll be using involves a concept called voice leading that you can see extensively in examples A, B, and C. In the last example, that is example C, we will also get to look at a technique I like to call as the common tone gateway. Now, the inspiration for this video comes from a previous video I had put out when I had played a more elaborate example on the guitar, and one of my viewers happened to ask me to provide a more simpler rendition of it in musical notation, and one that would only concentrate on the main aspects of transposition for it to be clearer to see and clean to understand. The structure of all three examples A, B, and C is exactly the same, as in each example has 4 bars of music where the first 2 bars establish the key of B minor via a chord progression, and the next 2 bars 3 and 4 establish the transition from the key of B flat minor to the key of G minor, again using a set of chords. Now these set of chords, as you can see, are common between example A and B. Both are using a flat 5 major chord going to a flat 2 major chord, going to a flat 7 major chord, going to a 1 minor chord. Now in the key of G minor, that would mean going from D flat to A flat major, going to F major, going to G minor. As you can see in example B, these chords remain unchanged. That is, you're moving still from D flat major to A flat major to F to G minor. Just that some of the chords have a different set of inversions. For example, the chord F is played in its first inversion in example B, while it's played in the root position in example A. Similarly, G minor is played in the first inversion in example B, while G minor is played in the root position in example A. Now, this causes one of the differences that I'd like to highlight, which is the change of these chords, or rather the change of the inversions of these chords, causes the top note melody to change. Now, what is a top note melody? If you join each of the highest voices or notes of each of the chords in your progression, you get a melodic line, by which I mean if you take the F note, which is the highest pitch voice in the chord D flat, and then you join with the next note is again F, the next note is E flat in the chord A flat, next one being C in the chord F, and the next one being D in the chord G minor, D being played 3 times more. Now these top notes join together to form a melody line. Now this melody line is different in example A and example B. The notes are given for you to observe and relate to. I've also noted down the solfege syllables, because what I'll be doing is, as you can see, each of these examples will be rendered twice, and in the second rendition, in bars 3 and 4, I will sing along the top notes of each of these chords to make you hear the melody and how it sounds against the backdrop of the chords. Another thing I want to add here is, if you hear another background guitar track, that is only for you to feel and enjoy the transition from one key to the other. Let's hear both examples A and B. Here we go. Now, before we go to example C, I'd like to talk a bit about it. If you can see, there's just one difference from example C, between example C and the previous 2 examples, which is the exclusion of this flat 2 chord. In example C, we get rid of this flat 2 chord, which is the chord A flat in the key of G minor, and we go directly from the flat 5 chord to the flat 7 chord. In our case, that would mean go directly from D flat to F. Now, as you can see, the inversions in which both these chords are arranged are such that they are sharing a common tone F. There's F in the chord D flat as it's played in its second inversion, and F is being played here in its first inversion, and you can see the top note is again F. So what this does is creates a common tone between these two chords, and how I like to address it is by calling it as a pivoting mechanism. So these two chords create a pivot on the common tone F, and then that causes us to reorient ourselves in the direction of a new key, that is the key of G minor. Now this also happens because of the strong pull of the flat 7 chord, that is F, to the 1 minor chord, and that's explained in the elaborate guitar example that I spoke of right at the beginning. For now, let's hear this example again, and as before, what I'll do is I'll sing the top notes of each of these chords in bars 3 and 4 for you to hear it in context of the backdrop of the chords. Before I do that, I'd like to add some direction symbols so that we can go directly from the count in to example C. Here we go. Now that you've heard this simple rendition which was provided in triads, simple triads, you can also want to explore, if you want to explore the more elaborate example on the guitar that I played, which is like a practical application of this concept, you can choose to click on the link that's appearing on your screens.